What's up and welcome to something a little bit different. We're trialling out a new series called FPL Fixture Analysis, where we start to look at team stats instead of just player stats to help us in the Fantasy Premier League. And this video today is brought to you by Fantasy Football Magazine, the only fantasy football subscription magazine sent to your door monthly with some of the best tips from some of the best players in the world. Check out the link in the description down below. So let's see how this goes, and it is a series of course I'm going to have to refine, so apologies if it's not delivered the best it could be right here today, but we're going to try it out and see how it goes with you guys. But in the spirit of trying out new stuff on the channel, if you have any ideas for series for this channel about fantasy football, leave it in the comments down below and I'll consider every single suggestion, and maybe we can get up to 4 or 5 videos a week. Maybe not next game week because there's only one day between game weeks though. So the way I've done it today is I'm going to look at each team who I believe have 5 very favourable fixtures moving forward, with teams that they could score a lot against because they score a lot of goals themselves, and hopefully we can pick out the players in those teams that will do really well moving forward. The first team we're looking at is Tottenham Hotspurs, who unfortunately haven't been on form as much recently as they have been over the entire season. However, with a fixture list of West Bromwich Albion at home, Leicester away, Watford away, Stoke at home, and then Brighton Hove Albion at home, that is a run of fixtures that I think Tottenham Hotspurs could prosper from. So far this season, Tottenham Hotspurs have scored 20 goals, which is the 6th best goal amount in the league. However, in the last 6, they've only scored 10, which is the 7th best. The opposition defences in the last 6 that have been considerably weak are West Bromwich Albion, Stoke and Watford, with West Brom conceding 12 in the last 6 game weeks, Watford conceding 11 and Stoke conceding 14. So with 3 teams there and 2 of them at home, which have conceded a lot of goals in the last 6 game weeks, Kane, Eriksen and Vertonghen look like the best options. However, Eriksen has gone a little bit missing. So I'd actually suggest Kane and Vertonghen. Vertonghen purely because you don't have to worry about rotation, and Kane is the main man and plays when he is fit. So those are the 2 players I think could have a very, very good next 6 game weeks leading into the Christmas period. The next team we're looking at is Crystal Palace, and bear with me because I understand they've only scored 6 goals in the entirety of 12 game weeks. However, if we actually look at how many goals they've scored in the last 6 game weeks, it is also 6, which doesn't put them the worst in the league. So while in the entirety of the season they're 20th for goals scored, they're actually only 14th in the last 6 game weeks. And they also have Stoke, West Brom and Watford, the teams that have conceded quite a few goals in the last 6 game weeks, coming up in a run of fixtures against Stoke at home, Brighton Hove Albion away, West Brom away, Bournemouth at home and Watford at home. So potentially Crystal Palace could get a lot of points moving forward, and it's mainly the players like Zaha and Loftus-Cheek that look like they're going to benefit from this the most. However, of course, you could consider players like Kabay and Andros Townsend as well. So I know Crystal Palace haven't exactly filled us with confidence, but this could be a move. You could bring in a cheap Crystal Palace player and really benefit over the December period. The next team we're looking at is Chelsea, and after their convincing win against West Brom, they are of course going to have a good run of fixtures after this Liverpool game. Yes, the Liverpool game could go either way. It could be high scoring, it could be a ball draw. We never know with the big teams playing each other. However, once they get past the away trip to Anfield, they have Swansea and Newcastle at home, and then West Ham and Huddersfield away. And West Ham and Huddersfield are the opponents they have that in the last 6 game weeks have conceded a lot of goals, with West Ham conceding 12 and Huddersfield conceding 14. So there's potential for these away trips to be very beneficial for Chelsea and the likes of Hazard, Morata and my favoured defensive pick, Azpilicueta. And with them being 4th in goals scored for the entirety of the season and 4th for the last 6 game weeks with 23 and 11 apiece, I think Chelsea players could be a very good pick moving past that Liverpool fixture. And the final team we're going to look at, and we cannot ignore the fact that Manchester City are top for goals scored in the entirety of the season with 40, and they're also top for goals scored in the last 6 game weeks with 19, putting them first in both totals. They have Huddersfield, Southampton, West Ham, then Man United away and then Swansea away. But if we just ignore that Man United fixture, and potentially they could score against Man United as well, you'd have to think Manchester City are going to score quite a few goals. With Huddersfield, who have conceded 14 and West Ham, who have conceded 12 over the last 6 game weeks, They also have 2 fixtures where they could just go goal crazy. Now there's so many players we could consider here that it's ridiculous. We could consider their defenders like Otamendi, we could consider wing backs as well with Kyle Walker. You've got the nailed on midfielders of Kevin De Bruyne and David Silva, as well as the rotation 4, I'd like to call them, as Sane, Sterling, Aguero and Jesus. Now for me personally, if you want to take advantage of this the most, especially over a busy period like Christmas, KDB and Otamendi look the best picks for me. But the likelihood is there's going to be rotation in every position in the Manchester City club over this busy period, and I think you've just got to take it with a grain of salt when your player doesn't play and make as strong a bench as you possibly can leading into this busy period. And before we wrap up the episode, I just want to cover some of the other teams that could do rather well because of the fixtures they're playing. We have Everton, who play West Ham and Huddersfield, both at home, so now could be the time to bring in some Everton players despite the fact they've changed their manager recently. Liverpool have Stoke and West Bromwich Albion away and then home, so potentially Mohamed Salah, Coutinho, Mane and Roberto Firmino could be very good over this period. We have Burnley, who have Watford and Stoke over the next 5, both at home. Burnley aren't known for their attacking players, however maybe someone like Stephen Ward could come up with some assists as well, so Burnley could be something that other people aren't looking at. We have Arsenal, who have Huddersfield and West Ham, home and then away. Arsenal could, if they perform like they did last game week, absolutely run riot against these 2 teams, which would be very beneficial for people who have Arsenal players. And then we have Newcastle, who have a Watford and West Brom home and away in the next 2, and both of those teams have conceded a lot of goals over the last 6 game weeks. Watford conceding 11 and West Brom of course conceding 12, so Newcastle could be a pick that people don't see and that you could take real advantage of, which could boost you up the rankings. Anyway guys, thank you so much for tuning into today's episode as always. If you've enjoyed the video, please hit that like button for me, and also leave in the comments down below your thoughts on this series. Subscribe if you're new to the channel as well. It doesn't cost anything and it helps me out immensely if you love FPL content. I've been JNO, this has been FPL Today, and remember, it's all about the game.